Hey, what's going on, folks? It's Larry at Packmasters Dog Training here. Just got a call this morning from a client I worked with a few years ago. I've actually talked about these clients quite a bit. They're the owners that had Duke and Herc, the two pit bull mixes that were killing each other inside the home. The in-home aggression case, right? When you have two dogs in the same home that fight seriously and cause a lot of harm. We've talked about those types of cases many times. I've talked about those dogs many times, okay? In my opinion, it's the toughest kind of case to deal with, and I've received 2 emails this morning from other trainers asking me questions about that. Here's the thing, guys. I've talked about Duke and Herc many times. They've done great for the past few years, all right? I mean, really well. I don't mean just avoiding each other. I mean, they've become friends. They can go in the same crate together. They can lay on the same bed. Things have gone very well. All because of the work the owners have done. They have done incredible, okay? Well, I received a call today, and I think it's very important that I talk about this because I know a lot of people struggle in this area. And with that being said, I talk to their owners, Duke and Herc's owners, and I always ask them, is it okay if I talk about this? I don't just talk about people's cases without asking permission, but I think it's important and they think it's important. So what happened recently, this week, if not just yesterday, I forget, they had a third dog. They had a chocolate lab, I believe, that was 17 years old. Very old dog, right? That's a beautiful thing when you get to have a dog for that long. That dog was Duke's best friend. They were inseparable, and Duke really looked after that dog. I guess that the old dog was starting to have a lot of issues at that age, of course, and was starting to get a little senile and have a lot of struggles. But Duke really looked after that dog, and that was his buddy. Well, that dog died here just very recent, which really sent the family into a tailspin, right? Because it's hard. It's hard when you lose a dog, and especially when you have one for that long. It's really part of your life. And not only did the dog die, they didn't find the dog dead. It didn't die in its sleep. They didn't take it to be put down. It died in a pretty bad accident. It was, and we won't get into that. It's not important. But it wasn't the best way to have it end. So that makes it worse. So if you remember when we talked about this case before, my biggest obstacle in really helping those two dogs a few years ago when I did was not only getting through to the owners, but particularly the woman of the house, the wife, right? Because these fights would normally happen when she was there alone, and it's very traumatic. Very traumatic. So she was scarred by this, and it's hard. So a big part of what I had to do was build her up and build her confidence up to where she could handle what she was going to have to do back inside the home. Because remember, guys, I did not fix these dogs. The owners did. I think Gary Wilk said something on a post the other day about, it's just impossible to really truly fix aggressive dogs like this, in a board and train or with medication. And I agree 100%. 100%. And anyone who says otherwise, I have to disagree strongly. And here's why, guys. No matter what we do, no matter what I did with those dogs in my presence, in my home, is completely useless if I can't educate the owners enough to really step up their game, get rid of all the bad habits, add a lot of new habits, good habits, and somewhat educate them to think like a dog trainer and not a dog owner. That's very, very important. So that's where the success comes from, okay, from them. So I have to agree with that statement very much. So now where we are with these dogs, that 17-year-old dog dies, right? Everyone's in bad shape there. Guess what happens now? Now, after a few years of living in total peace and harmony and really doing well, Duke and Herc are starting to get into it a little bit again. Not as bad as they were last time, but they're getting into it again. And they will go right back to where they were before they came to me if we don't interrupt this right now. So why is this happening all of a sudden? Okay? Well, the owners told me, for one, that especially Duke, the Duke that was close, is in pretty deep mourning. Okay, he's really, really bummed and down in mourning since he lost his best friend. Let's touch on that real quick. You're going to hear a lot of different things, whether dogs mourn, if they, think about the past, and, there's all kinds of opinions on that. I'll tell you what I believe. From being around dogs so long, there's no doubt in my mind that dogs mourn. They go through a rough period. They definitely get very sad. They're very emotional creatures. They're very social creatures. But they're different than us, okay? They can move on with things much quicker. My problem is that the owners, especially the woman of the house, again, that dog was her everything, is really struggling bad. So of course the dogs are going to mourn. Okay, they're going to stay in that state of mind as long as she allows it, and as long as she's in that state of mind. As long as she's struggling, those dogs are going to struggle. And when she's not running the show there like she's been, guess what happens? The dogs go right back to where they were before, without that direction and without that structure. So I had a nice long conversation with both owners today, and I'm very honest, and I'm there to help them no matter what. But especially back to the woman of the house, if I can't let her see that she needs to step it back up to where we were when she first took those dogs back home, we're in trouble. Those dogs will go right back to where they were 3 years ago. Plain and simple, okay? She's really upset. She's down. She's struggling. It was a horrible thing. But all these dogs die, and they're not around that long, okay? We have to expect that. With that being said, we can move those dogs along very, very well. But now she's got to take that energy, which is a really bad energy right now. We all go through it, right? And she has to put it back into those dogs and start working it right from the start. She has to go back like she took those dogs home from day one. She has to be very strong. She has to be very powerful. She has to start adding all that structure and obedience, okay? That'll be a good way to get her mind off of what she's thinking. Because what happens when we lose a dog? We sit around and we think about him constantly, right? Brings us down, makes us weak. And if she can't go back to taking that role she's had for the past few years, those dogs will go back to where they were before. They're giving her every sign in the world, okay? The fights are starting, not like they were before, but they're starting to get into some scraps. They are screaming for help right there, screaming for help. They're letting her know this shit's about to go off again. So the only way we prevent that is going back to what we did the day those people took those dogs home. So here's what happened, guys. Here's what happens in a lot of cases. When we have really tremendous success with cases like that, people are real fired up. They do what they're told. They do what I ask them to do, and we see great results, right? But what happens is when the results are so good, the dogs are doing so well, we tend to slack off. We get very lax. And with any type of aggression case, guys, whether it's dog aggression, human aggression, dog-on-dog aggression in the same home, especially in that case, it never ends. It doesn't stop. It's not truly successful until one of those dogs dies and you've never had another incident. So the training never stops. It never, ever stops. You have to understand that, okay? We watched it at this seminar last week, and I did, with all the aggression cases. Why is it that you take a dog who struggles with aggression, big powerful dog, and it drags its owner all over the room, they can't control it? Why does that dog walk behind me nice and relaxed the second I took the leash? I never said anything, I never did anything, okay? The dog knows your intentions as soon as you interact with it. Immediately, they get it. And so what I need from those owners, they need to step it up. They need to forget about what just happened. They won't, but I need to put it aside, and I need them to understand now these dogs need me more than ever. I got to step it up. I got to get out. I got to do some walking. It'll be good therapy for both of us, the dogs and the owners. Get out, go for some nice long walks, some nice long structured walks. It's going to do incredible things for both. But now we have to take Duke and Herc and put them to work, just like it was the first week after they left my home. Very simple, very simple. So a couple of you trainers sent me emails today, how I deal with in-home aggression. I've talked about it ad nauseum. Someone asked about sibling in-home aggression. That's real common too, but it's all the same. It's all the same. I never want anyone to take two puppies for the same litter, but it happens. It happens. People do it. And here's the thing, guys, as dog trainers, and this is my opinion, and this comes from a lot of experience in this area, we only do so much as dog. You could be the best dog trainer in the world. You're only going to get so far. Okay? Once those dogs are back in the home with their owners, they have to understand how to think like a dog trainer and not just a dog owner. So we have to educate them to a certain level to where they can fix the real situation, the real problems, okay? The real problems. And that's changing the mindset of those dogs, okay? Not just avoiding doing what they want to do. They have to change the mindset, period. So those dogs are responding off of the owners 100% right now. They're weak, they're down, they're in mourning. So guess what? The dogs are weak, they're down, they're in mourning. The second we get the owners to empower themselves again and step out of it and say, okay, guys, the bullshit's over, let's get to work, those dogs will be okay. But if we don't do that, we're going to go back to where we were before they came to me, except this time it'll probably be worse. It'll be harder to fix because no one wants to start all over. And then there's a lot of emotions attached to it, okay? So for the people struggling with in-home aggression between two dogs, it never stops, guys. You can't drop your guard, ever, not for a second. That means if those dogs look at each other in a way you don't like, you got to jump on it and they have to think Jesus just entered the room. You have to. You got to make it big. You got to make it big. And we have to keep educating the owners. You have to understand how to teach. The owners have to learn to think like a dog trainer, not a dog owner. Big difference. All right? So I'll keep you posted on these two. I know the owners, they're part of a handful of people that I've worked with that have done miracles. They really have. I mean, these are some pretty strong, amazing people, and I know they can do it. But I've been there too many times when you lose a dog that you're that tight with. It's horrible. It hurts. It hurts. But remember, I've said it before, guys, they're not here that long. Enjoy every minute, every opportunity you can with them. Take advantage of the time we have. Just know they're going to leave us, and when they do, we got to get over that mourning quick. And if you got another dog, it's only fair that we move on. It's only fair that we move on. All right, guys? I'll keep you posted on these two, and we'll let you know how it goes. Peace.